Am I good to start?
Are you
Okay.
on?
I can wait a second.
Hold on 1 second, yeah.
We're good.
Hi, yeah, whenever you're.
Hello everyone, my name is Caroline Mundy and I'll be presenting my senior project. So,
You gotta click
oh,
what?
there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it takes a few.
So the essential question that I was kind of trying to answer throughout this whole process was, what are the steps needed in order to organize a successful dog walk / run 5K and fundraise for a local shelter? So this just kind of outlines what I'm going to talk about in my presentation, kind of why I chose it, the shelter, and that kind of stuff. So I have a really big personal connection to shelter dogs. I've owned 2 in my life. So the reddish one was Ernie. He was a golden lab, kind of. Don't actually know. And then the other one's Harry. I'm not even gonna give a guess on what I think he is because I have absolutely no idea. But they're both very lovable. They both were very lovable dogs. Harry is too. And I think a lot of people are scared away from adoption because you really don't know what you're getting. Like, Harry was found living under a house in Alabama, completely abandoned with all the siblings. And that kind of caused him to be a little timid, have a little bit of issues when we first got him, but he slowly warmed up. And I just kind of wanted to use this project to introduce the idea that not all shelter dogs have issues. Like, Ernie never really was like Harry. They were both very different, so it's kind of a matter of which dog you get. So I chose to do a local shelter because I felt like I would get more support from everyone. So Medfield Animal Shelter was the one that I chose because I did look there for a dog. I didn't end up getting one there. And their mission is kind of just to make sure every dog and animal finds a home. So they don't euthanize any of their animals. They don't, they are very big about making sure that they're taken care of, but they really need our support because they are a nonprofit. So everything that they get is from donations from us. So these are the dogs that they currently have. This one's Maggie, and then they just got that litter of puppies a few days ago. So to start my project, I had to choose where I was going to do this walk, and I didn't want to do it on any main roads because that would just lead me to so many issues. I felt like trying to close the roads, and because I knew I was doing it later in the year, I didn't want the dog's paws to burn on the concrete. So I thought Oak Grove Farm was the best place to do it because it's a very popular spot where people go to walk their dogs, and it's all grass. So I had to get a permit to be able to use it. So I had to provide a picture of the routes that I use. So these are 2 pictures I got from my mentor, Mrs. Clayton. They're the cross-country routes. And I had a little bit of trouble with this permit because I didn't know who to contact to get it, but obviously I ended up figuring it out. So this leads me to my mentor, Mrs. Clayton, who was awesome. She knew exactly what she was doing. She had all the equipment I needed. She's a member of Boosters. She's the varsity cross-country coach. She was so good that people thought I was setting up a track meet. So, because all the signs that I used said, no, it's cross-country. But she had everything I needed and more. Not just the equipment, but this emotional support side, because I was very stressed out through this, and she was always just like, control what you can control and just let the rest happen, like do the best you can, kind of. So this leads me to my connection to the mission statement, which it kind of just talks about social growth and being inclusive, kind of a community, and also growing as an individual. So I felt like this event was super fun. A lot of the community came out to help me. There were a lot of people that I really didn't know that ended up showing up, so I got to know them. There were different age groups, so it kind of unified everyone. And then I personally grew because I've never organized an event before, so I didn't know what I was doing at all. So now I kind of know who I need to contact, how quickly I need to contact them. And then getting the word out, I definitely had a lot of trouble with this because I feel like I might have waited a little too long to get the word out, because I had been thinking that my project was in May and I was starting it in the fall. So I was like, there's nothing I could be doing right now, but there was. So this was the flyer I ended up going with because I felt like it had the perfect amount of words on it, and I decided to include their mission statement because I feel like if people know what they're donating for, it might help me advertise a little bit. And then fundraising, I cut out the idea of a GoFundMe completely. So I went with Venmo instead, and up here it's kind of blurry, but this is an example of Venmo. I asked people to put the name of the 5K and their participants, so I could keep track of who paid and who didn't. I also kept a spreadsheet. And I decided to go with $10 instead of $5 because I felt like that was more reasonable for the amount of people I was expecting to come. Obviously, this person gave me a little bit more because she only had 3 people. So setting up the event, I really have to thank my sister for this one because she put the orange flags all over the route for me. But as you can see, we decided to have a really fun finish line for the dogs, which I thought just added to the whole day. I got a lot of good pictures of them. We had balloons, and I think the orange flags really helped people out because I don't know about you guys, I don't know if you've ever been to Oak Grove, but the trails can be kind of confusing at times. So now here's the fun stuff. So this is pictures from the event. I would say it was very successful with what my goals were. My goals were fundraising, fun, and friends. So there were a lot of people that came out to support, but there were also a lot of fun. You can see a lot of smiles. It was definitely a little muddy. It rained the night before, so that I knew that was coming, but it did not ruin the day at all. I think everyone really enjoyed it. That's what I've heard from all my friends that attended. And then to add even more fun, I decided to do prizes. So the 2 first place runners got prizes, male and female, and then the first place dogs also got prizes. And then positives from the process as a whole. Like I said, it was super fun. I learned a lot of new things. I learned how to organize an event. I learned how to write an email. I learned that I can't wait to advertise things. I also never had any really big issues. I felt like any issue that kind of came up, I was able to get through it very quickly. I think the biggest issue that I ran into was contacting the shelter. My email ended up in their trash folder because it just kind of came as spam, so I didn't hear from them for a while, and I just didn't know how to get in touch with them. But also, with that said, we raised $600 for the shelter, as well as we collected blankets, food, doggy bags, treats, all that kind of stuff. And this was actually double my goal. I'd been planning on about 300 as my goal, just because it is a small town, and I knew I didn't do a great job advertising. And then this is, Abby was the first place winner, so this is her getting her prize. And then there were definitely a lot of things I could have done better, like I said, advertising and time management, but I also could have stayed a lot more connected to the shelter throughout the entire thing. I kind of only contacted them to let them know I was doing it. I didn't really update them on how it went, how my project was going. I also could have shortened the distance a lot. A lot of the smaller dogs had to stop after 1 lap because it was just way too long. So that was definitely something I should have looked into and kind of thought about when I'd been doing my project. I definitely had considered doing 2 different routes, and that's kind of the way it ended up working out. So I feel like if I had just set that as the distance for both, it would have been a lot more successful. Here's my works cited, and then
Don't worry about it.